Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to model a medium poly T-72 tank, which is a tank that you can see on my little pictures on the side right here. I hope I don't get a copyright bust for pulling out these pictures in my image editor, because otherwise I don't know how the hell I'm going to keep making these tanks. Maybe I should just get a second monitor. And I got my references in the background here. Now, if you don't know how to do this, don't worry, because I already made another video on how to put some proper references in your background. So be sure to check that out. And if you want, I can also make a video on how to find some good references and throw them on the side over here. But I think it's pretty straightforward. You just put them in an image editing software, and you just save the image, and that's it. You just open it here. But we're not gonna go too much into detail here. But I just got images from all different sides here, so I can see what's going on, and then we're gonna see what we can achieve in a reasonable time frame of, let's say, about half an hour or something. So let's just get started with a side view over here, and let's just try to make the hull of the tank. We're going to use a default cube here, and we're going to push it all the way to the front. Now in top view, we can see how far to the front we have to go. We're going to take it to this line here. And in the back, this part is a little bit tricky because you can't really see what's going on. It's made up of multiple parts. But I want to bring it up to like this line or something, which is going to be at the end of this box in the back here. And the reference, that should be about here somewhere. Right? And we're also going to pull it down just a little bit. Something like that. And then let's add a loop cut right here. And let me also turn on my screencast keys over here so you guys can see what shortcuts I'm using. A lot of people told me that I often forget to put this on, so I hope this helps you guys. And we're also going to scale this up on the x-axis so it has the same width as the hull of this tank over here, which is going to be right about somewhere around here between these boxes on the side. It's somewhere in this line. Now, I tried to place this reference in the middle, as you can see here, but it doesn't really seem to be completely symmetrical because this side is already on the line here, but this one is not on the line yet. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm just going to push this a little bit further to the right. Sometimes these blueprints are pretty tricky to understand, which is why I always want to have some extra pictures on the side so you can see what's going on a little bit better. Right. So that's approximately the width that we need to have. Let's make sure that this is on the same level. I forgot to scale this part up. Okay, so this is straight. And then we've got this loop cut, which is going to be right around, somewhere around here. This is where the incline starts in the front of the armor, this part over here, or the decline, whatever you want to call it. So we have this line here, this edge over here, and we need to pull that one down a little bit. So let's go to front view, and we're going to pull that down to about this line. That's going to be this angle right here. And then we're also going to take this one down here. And we're going to do the same thing. Now we're going to leave a little bit of an edge there, even though there's not much of an edge on this picture over here. But I've seen some pictures where there's a bit of an edge. There's a bit of a flat face there, kind of like this or something like that. So I'll just leave it there and see what happens. Now the bottom plate here is a bit tricky because from side view we can't really see exactly where it is. But we can make a good guess that it's probably somewhere around here. And then in front view, it's also hard to figure out exactly which part is the bottom, but I have a feeling it's this one over here. If you look at this tank, there's something similar going on here. And then I don't have a picture of the underside, but I know there's something different going on. This part over here is the part that holds the wheels in place, like the axle or something. So this is not actually the far bottom of the tank. The bottom of the tank is this line up here. So we're going to stick with that one and pull it a little bit more to the front. Let's not worry about that too much. Let's go over to the back. Okay. And maybe now we should add, we're not going to add a loop cut, but we're just going to extrude. We're just going to extrude another face here just to make our, try to make our topology at least acceptable. Let's say we're going to pull it over here, and then we're going to pull this to the front. That's not going to work. But I think it's all right if we have a triangle over here because we're not really going to use any more loop cuts here anyway. Let's pull this down. Pull this face up. And maybe we should pull this a little bit more to the back. And let's have a look at the back of our tank over here. Just kind of just a straight face, a flat surface in the back. And I think I'm just going to slide it all the way up like that and just call that a day. And then if we need to later, if we need to have some loop cuts here, then we're gonna fix up the topology a little bit. Maybe to remove some of these edges, but let's just leave it at that for now. Let's not split hairs too much. And let's just move right away. Let's just move straight to some of the side armor over here. That's usually the part that I like to get started with. It's a really fun part to make. We're gonna add a plane over there. We're going to push it over here to the side. And we're going to separate that, and we're just going to add a mirror modifier. We're going to add a mirror modifier. See, this has an origin here, so it just gets mirrored right to the other side. As a mirror modifier, we're going to lift that up, bring it over here. And then we're going to extrude this edge in the front here so it has a nice angle here. And then we're going to bevel this angle, this edge here, so it's going to be the same round shape as we see over here. Let's bevel that. Let's bevel that a couple of times. We don't want to go too high. Something like that, okay. And we're going to bring it over to this line and over this line. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky, so we need a better view of this part right here, as you can see. So what we can do here is we can extrude this, and we can't really desolidify. We can take this vertex over here, pull that down, and use our 3D cursor as a pivot point up here. So that way, when we scale this down, extrude it, right click, and scale it down on these two axes, it's going to go straight towards that point, and we're going to get that shape that we need. So let's go to side view. Let's see if it follows the right shape. Okay, kind of like that. And then we're going to push it all downwards a little bit, and we're going to place our 3D cursor over here and scale it down a little bit more like that. Now on the side, there's like an edge here, so we're going to stop this part right there. And there's like a rubber plate here or something, like a rubber piece of arm. I don't even know what that is, but we're going to stop this right here for now. That's the side armor. And then on the inside, what we have to do is something very similar. We can't see that part in the reference, but let's just assume that it's more or less the same thing as it is on the outside. Okay, we'll extrude that and scale it down on these two axes. Scale it down like this. And this time we're going to scale it once like that, and then we're going to do it again one more time, and this time we're going to scale it to 0 so we have a filled shape right there. Now this shape should be a little bit more inwards than the rest, okay, something like that. And we're also going to make it a little bit further to the back. We're going to scale it a little bit further down on the y-axis like that, okay. And now we have that kind of shape that we want over here. And let's also have a look if we can correct this a little bit better. Maybe we can scale everything down a little more on this part so that it comes right on top here. Okay, let's not split hairs too much. I always go a little bit too much into detail with this stuff, but that's fine. The more detail you want to go into, the better it's going to look. And then we're just going to go ahead and this is more or less the basic shape that we need there. Let's add a couple of bevels. Add a bevel right there. Okay, on the outside. We're going to bevel this part. We're going to bevel this part as well. Okay. So now from side view, pretty much sorted. This is going to be the other part. We can create that later. Pretty much sorted. And now let's go ahead. Well, you have another part over here. So let's extrude something else. I don't really know if this is exactly what it is, but I'm just trying to make it look cool. So you guys are going to correct me and tell me that I'm getting half of this stuff wrong and it's not really what it looks like. Look, guys, I don't have a tank in my backyard. Okay, I'm not in the military. I'm not a tank driver. The best I can do is look at these pictures and see what I can figure out in like 10 minutes before I make the video. So I'm trying my best. But it's something like this anyway. Most tanks are pretty much the same thing anyway. Something like this. We're just going to leave it at that for now. It's not necessarily a super highly detailed model, so it doesn't really matter too much. And then we're going to take another... we need to make another shape back here. Let's look at this other picture. We need to make another shape in the back here. So maybe we're going to duplicate some of these edges. And maybe this whole part up here. Let's duplicate that. Move it aside a little bit. And we're going to extrude it again. Then we're going to take these couple of edges and we're going to extrude those again. Pull them backwards a little bit. And this part kind of goes inwards like this a little bit. Something like that. The inwards and down, something like that, I think. Let's look at our reference. It goes a little further in. Maybe this whole thing should be a little bit further in, something like that. Okay, something like that. See how that looks? I think it's about right. I think it's good enough. It doesn't really matter too much. Again. Now let's go ahead and add a solidify modifier to this stuff. Correct all the normals. Solidify modifier with about 0.02 on it or something like that. Let's also turn on our cavity and just our little ridges and stuff like that, so it looks a little bit nicer as we're working. Maybe we can also slap on a matte cap. You know, it always looks a lot cooler when you have a matte cap that you're working with. And let's go ahead and add some smooth shading to that. And we're gonna hit some sharp edges over here. Okay, edge. mark sharp, and then we're going to add another modifier, which is going to be our edge split modifier. And the edge split modifier is going to split the sharp edges, as you can see right here. So now the edges that we marked are going to be sharp and the others are going to be smooth, as you can see right there. So now we can go ahead and mark a couple of more sharp edges. Now I'm not going to do this on every part of this tank, but I just wanted to show you guys the technique. I'm just going to use auto smooth from now on. I just wanted to show you that this is one thing you can do, and it's a really good way to control which part is going to be smooth or which part is not going to be smooth. Okay, so let's delete that vertex down there. Let's put a box right here. Okay, let's add a cube. Add a cube right there. We got to scale it down. Add a cube. And this is going to be just this piece in the side here. Now we got to make sure that our shape is right there. That it has the right width and everything. Okay, something like that. It's going to get all the way to the inner side over here. Let's pull that back like this. And from side view, we're going to have to lower it a little. But it's kind of inclined or declined. It depends on what way you want to look at it. I think it's better to call this inclined because it's going upwards from the front. And let's make sure it's long enough so it's going to be up until somewhere around here, right? We got that about right. And now we have this first little box on the skirt, right? Now I don't have much better picture, but what I do know is that we have to bevel this a little, just once for now. And then we're going to add a loop cut over here. Let me just double check to make sure, okay, this is going to be good. We're going to add a loop cut right there. And then we're going to slide these edges a little bit to make this part of the bevel a lot wider. Now I have another video where I show you guys how to control different parts of the bevel and make different parts of the bevel wider or narrower manually, so you can have perfect control over that. So I'm also going to leave a link to that video in the description. So if you want to see that, be sure to check that out. It's a useful trick. We're going to do that on this box here, and then we're also going to do that on the other side. So we're going to create another box. Another box, let's say this time we're just going to use a plane. A little bit easier, okay? And then we're going to extrude it upwards. Plane right there, and right there. And this plane we're going to use, we're going to bring it up to here. And then we're going to have to make this shape around the turret over here, okay? So let's push this inwards a little bit and a little bit more. A little bit more. Now, one way we can also do this is with a subdivision surface modifier, and it might look a little bit nicer, but for now we're just going to use these simple boxes, and we're going to bevel them because this is going to be still a pretty low poly model. And we're going to duplicate this face from the end. We're going to bring it out here. Now this part gets a little bit tricky because it's a very weird shape that goes around here around the turret. As you can see in one of the pictures, the boxes here go all the way around the turret, so I have to make sure that I get the loop cuts right. Okay, I'm gonna add a couple more loop cuts over here. Move this to the side, move it around the turret so it's a round shape. Okay, something like that. This part is gonna be a little bit more in. This is gonna be a little more in. Now I can't really see the exact shape of the turret because of this shape, whatever the hell that is going on over there. But something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter too much. And we're gonna do another cube. What have I done over here? This face is not perfectly flat like it should be. Okay, let's take that and duplicate that face again. Bring it over here. Bring it over here. And now I'll do that one more time. One more time for the last one. Okay, now these are not symmetrical on both sides, but we're just gonna pretend that they are to save some time. Okay, we're gonna mirror them to the other side across our origin, which is going to be placed in the middle, and then we're going to mirror it across the x-axis like that. Now once again we're going to add a loop cut over here just to also get this part right. Add a loop cut right there, and then once again we're going to do the same thing we did before. So loop cut there, and we're going to bevel this side and slide these edges apart a little bit. Okay, and we're also going to bevel this side the same way we did the other one, and we're going to do that on all the other shapes. Hit all of them at once. Okay, hit all of them at once, bevel everything, just kind of like that. Now if you want to, you can also add another small bevel like that. It's going to look a little bit nicer. But if you want to save on polygons, then don't do that on all the shapes, because it's going to it's going to bump up your poly count pretty high. So let's just leave it like that for now. And now we can go and add a little bit more detail to this stuff by, say, cutting in a little hole there. We can use a Boolean modifier. or we can just manually extrude that in. We can also use a normal map for that, but let's see what's the easiest way to make these kind of dents over here. We're just going to kind of make 2 loop cuts right there, okay? Right there. And we're gonna extrude that part inwards. We're gonna delete these faces. We can fill this in so it's topologically correct, but we're not gonna spend too much time on that. Right now, we're just gonna fill it in as an n-gon and call it a day. Something like that. And then maybe we can add another loop cut right there. So that way we can delete this face, delete this edge right here. We scale these 2 down just to give it a bit of a rounder shape. Okay, something like that. Extrude that down like that. Just a little bit. You can add a few more loop cuts if you want to. But again, that's going to increase your poly count by quite a bit. And then we're going to add some simple cube down there. You know how it is. Just add a simple cube. Just add a very generic shape. You can just look at any machines online or something like that. Add another plane. Make a little handle there or something. Okay. Now I'm only going to make this one. I'm only going to show you this one, but then I'm going to speed up the other parts so that I don't waste too much time on that, right? I'm going to scale it up a little, and we're going to insert the face, delete the face in the middle, and then we're going to extrude the whole thing up a little bit, right? Extrude it up a little bit, move this back, add a couple of bevels, and now this looks like a pretty nice handle, something like that, right? Maybe a little bit of a wider bevel. Okay, you can also bevel some of the others if you want to. Depends on how much time you want to spend on this. Again, okay, correct the normals and all that. And we're going to add some smooth shading to that and auto smooth as always. Okay, auto smooth to like 45 or something. And then we can just do the same thing on all the others. Now we're going to add a loop cut over there. We're going to do the same thing. Delete this face, extrude this down. Okay. And then we're going to duplicate this and bring it over to the other side. Place it right there. You're going to do the same thing all the way back here. Okay, create a hole for the handle over there. Create a hole right there. We're going to delete these faces and bring this little handle again. Bring it over here. Bring it over there, and we're going to do that a few more times in these boxes in the back here. Okay. So let's straighten these 2 out. Straighten this one out. Delete this face, extrude this down a little. And then we're going to fill that face in. And over here, we're going to bring the same shape. Okay, it's duplicated, bring it here. Rotate by 180. Rotate by 180. And the same thing back here. Okay. Extrude these down a little, fill in the face. Place our 3D cursor there, duplicate this, and bring it over there. Okay, there we go. And now we can just merge those together with the rest of the object, so they're also mirrored to the other side. All right, so now you can also see them over there on the other side. Now let's not spend much more time on this. Let's go over here and start doing something about our turret. Okay, we're gonna add a circle. Circle with 32 vertices is gonna be enough for now. 32 vertices, scale that down a little. As you can see, again, it's not perfectly symmetrical, so we're gonna have to do something about it. Move it to the side a little bit, like that. Okay. Maybe a little bit more towards the middle. Let's see how that works for us. Like this, and then we can scale it up a little more. Okay. Fill that in, move it up a little, and then move it down. I'm gonna take the circle, and then in the middle, we're gonna scale it down a little, so it has this kind of shape out here. Okay. That's gonna be a turret ring. That's going to be a turret ring right there. And then we're going to go ahead and make a turret. Now for the turret, we're going to add a cube. Add a cube, we're going to lift it up by 1 or by 0.5. And we're going to delete the bottom face. Now, why are we deleting the bottom face? The reason that we're deleting the bottom face is because we're going to add a subdivision surface right there to 2 levels. And then, as you can see, this part is completely sharp down here. So that's exactly the shape that we need for a turret. It's like a semisphere. Okay. Now we're going to go to the side and we're going to adjust this shape. It's kind of hard to see here. We can do something like that. And now this part is a little bit higher than the front. A little bit higher than the front. So the front is a little bit more flat, a little bit more downwards. We're going to pull it a little bit more to the front like that. And what about the back here? Our back is also a little bit too far out, so we're gonna bring it back like that. And maybe we can make another edge right there, and then maybe we can pull this part up a little bit. Okay. See what happens like that. We scale this, make it a little bit softer, a bit rounder. Now you can play around with this and do it whatever way you think is best. Probably I'm not getting this completely right, but let's look at our turret in the picture here. And let's just add some smooth shading and see what happens. And I think it's looking pretty good, but let's just go to top view and make sure that it aligns with what our blueprint is asking us to do. So our shape is currently something like this, but we need to also okay, let's apply the subdivision surface modifier, and we're going to use proportional editing to push this part a little bit backwards like this, because it's kind of more sharp in the back. It's kind of pointy in the back almost. Okay, so we're going to do that, and we're going to pull this back part backwards a little bit, something like that. Maybe we can bevel it to make it a little bit smoother. Okay, like that. And then we're going to scale it down a little bit. I'm just going to take a little sip of water in the meantime. Now, that's going to be, yeah, I got my turret ring a little bit off over there. I don't know what happened here. My turret ring is pretty far off. So we're just going to scale it down. I'm going to scale the whole thing down. We should separate it to a new object. Separate that to a new object, and then scale it all down a little. Like that. We're just going to bring this back. I think that's the easiest way to fix it. We should probably scale this back up so it fits the hole there, but we're going to lift the whole turret up. We're going to scale it up a little and then call that a day and just act like that's not a problem. Okay. Because again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add something for the gun. Okay. For the gun. Don't worry, we're going to add a couple more details with the rest of this tank too. So we're going to make it look a little bit nicer. For the gun, let's add a cylinder as a new object, or a circle. We'll do a cylinder with 24 vertices. Okay, rotate it 90 degrees, side view, scale it down. And we're just going to look at our blueprint now. Okay, so we're going to bring it about over here. Go back to pivot point to median point. Okay, scale this down. Shoot it again. Shoot it again. Let's look at our gun over here. It has some rings. Okay. Okay, we're gonna leave that there. We're just gonna pull it through all the way to the end, and then it seems to get a little bit narrower at this point. We're gonna duplicate it, extrude it one more time, duplicate it again, extrude it one more time, like that. Okay. Now we need something in the middle. Okay, so we're gonna duplicate this segment over here, scale it down on the y-axis, pull it to the front a little like this, but we're gonna scale it up on the other two axes like this to make it a little bit wider. Let's have a look what's going on there. So it's the same thing, it's just a little bit wider than the rest. Okay, something like that. We're gonna push this a little bit more to the front, and there we have it. We can also bevel this to make it look a little cooler, like that. Give it a single bevel. Now what we can also do is make some of the rings. So we're just gonna duplicate. Let's see what the rings look like. It's just kind of like a let's just say it's like a single cylinder like this, but then it's got two smaller thin rings around, something like that. Again, I don't know if this is exactly what the shape is really like. Some of you guys really know this in detail. You know everything about these tanks, so you're gonna tell me what I got wrong, and then maybe next time when I make a tank, I can apply it and I can remember, oh yeah, that guy told me that this is what this is supposed to look like, and then we're gonna put that on the tank, and everyone's gonna be happy, right? Let's scale this up a little. Okay, that's one ring, and we can just duplicate that. We can just duplicate that, place it over here or something. Scale this one down a little bit, make it thinner, and we're gonna put one in the front over here. Okay, let's do that. And this is gonna have to be a little bit smaller. And now it looks pretty good. Okay, smooth shading, auto smooth. Again, you can keep using your marking your sharps, but that's gonna take a little bit more time, a little bit more precision, which for me is a little bit unaffordable at this point in time. And then we're just gonna extrude a hole in the gun like that. Okay, scale that down a little. Just push that hole. There we go. That's gonna be our gun. Now we can also connect this to the rest of our tank. Let's duplicate this, turn it into a new shape, into a new object rather, and then extrude that And we need to, this part is a little bit tricky, so let's see what we can do. See how creative we can get with this part. We need to kind of merge it with the body, but it needs to kind of look soft and organic, right? Because it's kind of like there's a cloth or like a rubber kind of canvas wrapped around. I don't know how you would describe that thing. I'm not a scientist, so I wouldn't know. But we're gonna make a bunch of subdivisions here, a bunch of loop cuts and all that. We're gonna make a little bit less than that, so we have squares. Like this, we have squares, and then if we delete this face, we can just subdivide it one more time. And then what we can do is just select a couple of these vertices. Just random vertices all over this shape. And then we're going to use some proportional editing with smooth. And let's see what happens. We can just kind of scale them up, scale them down, and then we select some others. Maybe this time we'll just move them, and then we'll scale them up a little more. Okay, let's take the front, scale it down a little further. Okay, we're gonna have that ring connecting it to the barrel afterwards. Okay, this part, pull it to the side a little, you know, over here. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're gonna pull those around a little bit. It kind of looks a little bit organic. Of course, you can get it more detailed. You put some more time into it, but again, I don't want to spend too much time making this. But you understand the idea. You can see what kind of shape you can get with this. Maybe we're also gonna make it so it kind of has a more squarey shape, so it kind of connects in a more squarey way here to the rest of the turret. Okay, so we're gonna pull some of these other faces to the side here a little bit. Okay, like that, like that, like that, and there we have it. That's gonna be pretty good now. I think it's all right. Maybe we'll do a little bit more correction over here. Now, yeah, in the front here, we're gonna add another circle just to connect this stuff, to make it look nice. 24 vertices is gonna be enough. Okay, scale that all the way down to that, and then we're just gonna bring that in like that, something like that. Okay, now maybe if you really want to be extra with this canvas thing over here, you can kind of make it so it fuses a little bit better. You just use proportional editing. Maybe you can do some sculpting here if you want to do that. That would be pretty interesting. I want to invest some more time sometime. Maybe we can make another video on how to properly make this part of the tank. As you can see, the more effort we put there, the better it starts to look. You know, imagine if we invested like half an hour into this thing. I think it could look pretty cool. But for now, this is gonna be good enough. Okay. Again, just join that together with the gun, shade smooth. Now, optionally, you can also add a couple of little hexagons and place them around this turret, this gun base over here. But I'm not gonna do that now. It's gonna take a little bit too much time. So let's just leave it at that. Okay. And we're gonna connect that with the gun, and now we have the gun. We're gonna parent that to the turret. Now for the turret, let's go over here. I have a picture of this little toy. This is always the best because it's very visible what's going on. We need a circle back here. Okay, we need a circle back here. We're gonna add a circle with some 24 vertices is gonna be good. Okay, because we're keeping it pretty low poly. If we make this very high poly, then it's not really gonna fit in with the rest of the tank too well. Okay, so we're gonna take this down, add a couple of loop cuts, so that the bottom parts are a little bit wider. Okay, this part is not even visible, so we're gonna delete those vertices down there. Maybe bevel it. Now we have that, and then we can just do a little bit of something else. Now extrude another part there. We're gonna extrude it a little bit inwards, and then we're gonna duplicate the circle, extrude it up to make the hatch. You know, something like that. Make this part a little bit lower. Maybe add a couple of bevels here and there. You know how it goes already on my channel. There's always bevels on everything. And then we're gonna add a couple of screws over here. Okay, so we're just gonna add a little circle over here with 6 vertices. Again, this is a very small detail. If you're going for a really low poly model, you can skip this. You can skip this part. But if you want to make it look a little bit more detailed, then this is a very good way to do it. Just add a bunch of little screws and little tiny details around it. You know, like this. Scale it down, extrude it up a little, and then we're gonna place our 3D cursor here in the middle. Okay, so we have to select this. Separate that. Select the 3D cursor is in the middle of the circle. Then 3D cursor is the pivot point. Duplicate, rotate by 180. Duplicate everything again, rotate by 90, duplicate everything again, rotate by 45. One more time, rotate by 22.5 because it's half of 45. Correct the normals, remove the doubles, and join it back with the rest. And then let's see, we're gonna add some smooth shading. I'm gonna shade that smooth, and we're gonna turn on auto smooth over there. And now it's up to you if you want to create some other little detail over here. Maybe we'll add a little cylinder for this little light that we have this dude pointing around with. Okay. Scale this down a little. Scale it down, make it like that, like that. Maybe we'll bevel it. Maybe we'll bevel it a couple of times, and maybe we'll add a little cube just to hold it in place. Just hold it in place, kind of like that. And then, of course, if you want to, again, you can just add a couple more cubes. I'm gonna do it just to show you guys, give you some ideas maybe or something like that of what kind of stuff you can make here. You know, make this little shape here, and then we're gonna rotate that a couple of times around. We'll rotate it by 90 degrees, and we'll rotate it by another 90 degrees, and then we have some kind of little shapes. You can also add some more screws, but I'm just gonna leave it at this. Okay. And then, of course, we're gonna have to add a couple more of these little viewports over here. So we're gonna add a couple of cubes there. There's gonna be our one cube. We're gonna insert a face there and extrude it inwards. And then we're gonna duplicate this plane on top and extrude it upwards and make it a little bit angled like that. And then behind that, there seems to be something else going on there. We're gonna duplicate this plane, push it back. Let's see that one a little bit closer. Then we insert a face on top, extrude it up a little more, insert another face, and then we're just gonna slide this towards the middle. And then maybe we can add a couple more screws there. Okay. Scale it all the way down. Take it over here. And then we're gonna duplicate the whole thing and bring it back here. And we're gonna duplicate it across the 3D cursor over to the other side. Okay. Or rotate it by 180 or something like that. Okay, it's good enough. And also add a few more of these other details. We have another little shape here. It's like a cylinder. Let's say 16 vertices. Scale it down, scale it way down. Maybe we can find this on a reference to scale this down. And we're gonna extrude it up a little. And this other part is kind of in the way, so maybe we should move that a little bit more to the middle. Let's see, it's kind of more like there. And this one we need to give him a hat of some sort. Okay, a hat of some sort. And we're gonna give it another cube here, which is gonna be another kind of viewport. Now I'm not exactly following this reference, as you can see. I'm just kind of trying to come up with my own thing, you know. It's just, you know, just to show you my workflow. When you're just creating your own model, you can do whatever you want. I show you how I think about this. I just create some random stuff. Normally it's best if you look at the reference as close as possible, but that's going to take you a lot more time. Shade smooth, auto smooth. Okay, we're going to place that right there. This kind of feels a little bit too narrow, but that's all right. We're just going to leave it at that. And then we're going to add another circle over here. 32 vertices, 24 vertices, whatever. Scale it down in edit mode. And we're going to use proportional editing again to get this shape over here. Okay, proportional editing with smooth mode. And we're going to push this vertex from the back to the front, like that. To the front. It has this kind of almost oval shape or something like that. Now, one thing that we can do here, let's try this, okay? We're going to take this and we're going to grid fill the shape. Kind of like that. And then maybe we can use the shrink wrap. Let's rename this to turret. Maybe we can use a shrink wrap modifier to kind of slap this onto the surface, okay? Shrink wrap. And then we're going to target the turret. And there we go. It's going to just get slapped onto the surface pretty much. Okay. So we can... let's see what else. What other options do we have here? Nearest point on surface. Nearest vertex. We don't want that one. Target the normal. That seems to look pretty good. And then we're just going to extrude it upwards. With no proportional editing, of course. Extrude it upwards. And we also want to make an edge on it. So we're going to duplicate this part. And then scale it with... We're going to extrude that, scale it up a little, and then extrude it, right click, and then Alt S to make it a little bit thicker. It's kind of working like the solidify modifier. Okay, like that. And we're going to want to lift that up a little more, because otherwise not all these parts are going to be even. Okay, smooth shading. Let's join it with the rest so it gets the auto smooth settings. And then we can add a couple other things like a little circle over here. A little circle over here in the middle. Okay, let's see what happens in top view. Scale that up a little more. And then extrude it up a little and then duplicate it, extrude it one more time. Give it a bevel. Something like that. And we're also going to add a little cube on the side there. Just for now. To give it to make it a kind of hinge for this hatch, if you can call it a hinge or something like that. Maybe scale it down. There we go. That's our nice little shape right there. Object shade smooth. Now, of course, you can keep on adding this stuff, but I'm just trying to hurry up as much as I can with this. Now let's try to move on to something else because our bottom part of the tank is really incomplete, as you can see. So let's go over here to the front. We have to take care of this. We're going to extrude this panel out a little. And then we're going to add, I'm going to do this. Okay. We're going to add a loop cut down the middle. And then we're going to bevel it so it turns into 2 loop cuts. And then we're going to take this little edge here and we're going to bevel just that edge like this. And this is going to be the shape that you can see over here. There's kind of like a little viewport. Okay, we're going to add a little cube there. Add a little cube there. I'm going to insert a face in it and pull it in. Okay, maybe give it a little hat as well. Put a little hat like that, who knows. And then we have another little hatch back here. So we're going to add a circle there. 24 vertices in that circle. Make it a little bit more oval so it fits in there. Something like that. Extrude it up a little. Insert a face. Extrude it up one more time. Give it a bevel. Pretty much the same thing that we've already done before, right? And maybe we can also just pull this down a little bit further. Give it a little cube. Give it a cube, scale it down all the way down, give it a cube, and we're going to push this to the front, something like that. Okay. Let's see what else we can take care of over here. We're going to have to create some lights in the front. Okay, I'm not going to create all these ropes today because it's going to take way too much time. But we're going to add this little light. We're just going to add a cylinder there. The same way, kind of the same way we created it on top of the tank. Going to be placed somewhere around there, and we're going to have to bring it down a little bit. It's also probably way too big. Okay, we're going to bevel that a couple of times. And just extrude that part in. And we need to also make this kind of little cage shape. So let's take the circle, scale it up. Go back to median point, okay. We're going to delete the bottom half of this circle. Let's focus on that a little better. We're going to extrude these edges down. And then we're going to duplicate this whole shape to the back. So we can select both of these now. Pull them back and select everything. Or we're going to extrude them back a little. Select everything. Extrude again, right click, then Alt S to make it thicker, to kind of solidify it. I like to call that technique solidification with Alt S because it has the same effect, but I don't actually know what that tool is called. If anybody knows, do let me know in the comments. A lot of times you guys tell me about some things that I've never even heard about before, and it's really useful. That's one of the great things about making these videos. I can't even believe the kind of stuff that I've been using Blender for God knows how many years now, since I was like 13 years old, and there's still so many things that I've never even heard about, which are just completely must know. So do let me know if there's if you know any tools that I could use to make this process a little bit simpler. It always helps me out a lot. As you can see, I'm just adding another cylinder over here to just kind of make some of these bars that hold this in place. And in the front view, I'm going to duplicate this a couple of times to have them in a few more places. And now we have this little kind of cage around the light. So let's join all that together. Let's shade it smooth, and then we're going to add some auto smooth to that. And then we can just merge that together with this so it gets a mirror modifier. Okay. Auto smooth. What happened over here with our auto smooth? We don't have an auto smooth on the boxes, so let's do that. Shade smooth and auto smooth, and there we go. Now, over on these boxes, we have to make some kind of a separator. Let's do that with a cube. Okay. So we're going to be clipping, but that's all right. It's totally all right for a low poly model because it's not really going to be noticeable. Okay, so we're going to use this side of this cube like this. Bevel that one. And then we have to make it a little bit thinner as well. And we're going to duplicate this to all these other places as well. Okay, so let's bring this. It doesn't go into the turret like this, something like that. top view is going to be easier. So let's do this again over here. Bring this a little bit closer. And then let's pull that over here. I forgot to make this handle thing over here, but that's all right. And we're going to need another one way out in the front over here. The front, and we're going to maybe create one more just like that. I don't know, something like that, just to make this part look a little bit more complete. All right, maybe we're gonna have to lift this up a little bit more, just so it doesn't go through this mud guard in the front here, or whatever you can call that piece. Now, let's also merge this with the boxes here, and this as well. This can be pretty much the same shape. Now, for these boxes, we have these covers on the side. This one doesn't have, but this one has some kind of armor on the side here. Let's create a plane. Create a plane on the side here. Maybe we'll duplicate this one, separate it to a new object. In this side view, we're going to use this plane to kind of make this little piece of armor that goes on the side of the tank, like this. It's a very thin piece. It almost looks like it's made out of rubber or something. I don't know what that is used for. Again, if somebody who's an expert on tanks, I had a couple of guys who are mechanics or something. Maybe you guys can tell me what exactly is going on here. What do all these parts of the tank do? Because I'm really interested in this kind of technology. Or it's not even technology at this point. It just different engineering techniques. I don't know what the hell you would call that. Different things that they came up with that they put on the tank. I know sometimes they use the grids on the side of the tank, which are meant to catch RPG rockets or RPG shells, whatever you call those, either. And then they kind of get jammed in those bars. They get jammed in that grid around the tank, so that it doesn't actually get to the armor. It doesn't actually damage the tank, which I thought was really damn cool. We can also just merge this together, except now we have have double trouble because now it's mirrored on both sides. So let's before we merge those together, take this shape and okay, we only have one, so we merge it here. Okay, we're good. Now in the back here, let's do something. Let's do something in the back. We're gonna take this plane, place it over here, and this is gonna be the exhaust grill in the back. Okay, let's look at this part. This part over here. Now I know you guys are already waiting for me to make the tracks. Don't worry, we're gonna get there. The tracks and the wheels, we're gonna get there in a minute. I also have another video on how to create high detail, high poly tracks and how to rig them and how to animate them with both physics or just constraints. Be sure to check that out if you want to know how to make proper tank tracks. It's a very in-depth tutorial. I'll put it in the description as well. I already advertised you guys like 3 different videos, but do check them out if you're interested. And let's bevel this, and let's maybe work with individual origins here. So we're gonna insert some faces here, extrude them up. Again, now I'm not really looking at the reference anymore. I'm just going my own way from some experience and what I have in my memory from creating all these different tanks. Now, how are we gonna make these grills over here? Let's take a face from the side here. Let's focus on that face. Bring it in a little bit. We're gonna angle it just a little bit, and then we're gonna extrude it to give it some thickness, like that. Now, on this face, or this little object, we're going to add an array modifier. -1 on the factor. -1, and we're gonna do it like 20 times, or 40 times, or 39 times, or whatever number we need to completely fill in this shape. So we can move it a little bit further to the back. And then we have those grills right there, right? And we can also duplicate that and bring it over to the other side. Even though the other side is a little bit bigger. So on the other side, we're going to add a couple more. Let's make sure our normals are correct on these. Now we're going to apply the mirror modifiers, or the array modifiers, and we're going to join those together with the shape. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add a couple more planes just to cover these grills a little bit better. As you can see, there's something going on here. Some of these bars, I don't know what that's even for. But we're going to add a couple of those too. Okay, so just because they look cooler. And the more detail we have, the cooler it's going to look. 2 loop cuts, and we're going to bevel them to make 2 more out of each. And we're going to extrude these, and extrude them away from the 3D cursor like that. Okay, that's kind of what we have happening over here. And now if we just dissolve that into one face and extrude it up a little bit, but just a little bit. Let's say we can just extrude it down a little bit. And then we select everything, but we deselect the faces on top and the bottom. And we're going to deselect these faces on the ends. And now, well, actually, we should just select these vertices in the middle. Vertices in the middle. But we don't want the ones on top and bottom, okay? So, okay, let's just manually select the edges. Okay, I feel like there's a really simple way to do this that I'm overlooking here, but it doesn't matter. And then we're just gonna bevel those. That's all I wanted to do. Just like that. Okay. And we're gonna go to top view, and we're gonna duplicate that, bring it over to the other exhaust, and maybe pull this a little bit further away, so it gets all the way to the edge right here. Right here. And we're going to join that with the rest. And that's how you make a nice little exhaust grill. Of course, we can add more details, add a couple more screws and all that stuff, all that nonsense. You know how it goes. But you already know how to do that. I don't want to spend too much time doing that here today. So if you want to make a more detailed model, you can do that now. But let's go to top view over here. And now we're going to make this little last panel back here. Now the problem is this is kind of going through a turret, so we're gonna have to figure something out. I think I missed the shape of the turret over there. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna figure out something else. Shoot this out like this. Pull these corners down, not this one. Pull these vertices down, rather. And then we're gonna add a loop cut right there. And we're gonna push this part in like that. Push this part in like that. A little bit more. And then let's see, we can also flatten this over. Yeah, let's just do something like that. Doesn't matter. Something like that. Maybe we'll bring this a little bit more in like that. And then we just delete all these faces and the faces at the bottom. And the reason we're doing that is because we're going to select everything. And we're going to, in edge mode, we're going to deselect the top and the bottom loops. So we only have these edges selected. And then we're just going to bevel them. That's probably what I should have done with this exhaust grill right here. Fill this in. Let's not bevel them yet. Or at least let's not bevel them that much. Because otherwise, if we insert faces, it's going to give us trouble. Fill this part in, and we're going to insert a face. Make sure it doesn't clip anywhere. Extrude it up. And then bevel it. I think we have too much face insertion. What's going on? Probably the normals are incorrect or something. Insert a face like that, extrude it up, and bevel it, and there we go. That's just fine. And we should probably scale it down to make it a little thinner. Okay. Now we can just merge that together with these exhaust grills. Object shade smooth. Turn on some auto smooth. Auto smooth just like that, and maybe we can, I don't know, do something else here. Add a couple of these lines with a cube, you know. We're gonna add a cube right there. Delete the bottom face, and we're gonna pull this to the back, pull this to the front, pull this to the front, and then we're gonna scale this down a little bit and bring it down a little more, and then you guessed it, we're gonna bevel this shape a little bit. Now again, this is probably not exactly what you want to do on a medium or low poly model, but it always gets a little bit out of control when I start modeling, so that's what we're gonna do here today. We're gonna make a couple of these high poly things. Why not? Just so you can get some better ideas, and just for the tutorial. Now let's take it to the side a little bit more. Maybe pull this one down a little bit just so it fits the shape better. One more time, just to see if we can make it look a little cooler like this. Let's just call that a day. We're gonna place that right there. Now, what else do we have to do? We definitely have to get busy with the tracks sometime soon and the wheels, and maybe we should also add some more details of the front. Okay, let's try to add this triangle. We're gonna duplicate these two edges. We're gonna separate them to a new object, merge these together, and we're gonna scale these apart. So now they have the same angle as the face in the front there. So we can kind of push this in that direction. And our blueprint, yeah, we should probably push it a little further down. Like that. And now we can just extrude these and scale them towards the 3D cursor. But just a little bit. And we're going to extrude everything out like this. Scale it away to give it that bit of an angle or something like that. I also have no idea what this shape here is for. So do let me know if anybody has any idea what's going on there. Take another cube there. Okay. And we're going to push it in a little. And lift it up so it just barely comes out of the surface there. We're going to rotate it and we're going to maybe bevel it. We can select that entire loose part and scale it up by like 10 or something. Make it a little bit thinner. And then in side view, I'm going to duplicate it a couple of times because there's like 3 of these, right? Duplicate it a couple of times and now we have that shape in the front. And now, of course, if you want to, you can go ahead and add a couple of these other screws. I'm going to do that in the end. We have another shape going on down here. So for that shape, we can just take this face, separate it to a new one, to a new object. Okay, let's delete this face over here. We're going to fill all that in. And now we need a couple of loop cuts. A couple of loop cuts like that, like that, like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push these aside. That's going to be one of these little spikes here. And then we're going to bevel a few of these others. Okay, I don't know exactly how many there are. I don't want to worry about that too much. Now, if we place our 3D cursor down here, we can select some of these edges here. And then we can scale them down towards the 3D cursor so they keep the same angle. And we're going to extrude them, right click, and scale them away on those 2 axes. And now look what happens. They fall the same direction. And then we can just dissolve all the extra faces. That way, oh my computer's getting a little bit laggy here. Do excuse me for that. Now we're going to extrude that out a little bit. And then again, we're going to select everything. We're going to deselect the outer loops there. And then once again, we can just kind of bevel those a little bit. And we're going to just bevel this part once. That's how it's supposed to look. Makes it look a little bit cooler. Just like that. Okay. And we're not going to spend too much. We're not going to make any of these screws now. You know what? We're going to make them just really quick because I think it's a really cool detail. We're going to shift 7 so we align with this face. We're going to add a circle with 8 vertices. We have to add it again because we have to align that with our view. Align it with our view. We're going to scale it all the way down. Okay. And bring it somewhere over here. Okay. Get it all the way down. Bring it over there. And we're going to take that, duplicate it once. I'm going to move it to the end of this one, like that. Take it another one, move it to the end here, and take another one. We need 4 of them, right? Now we can fill those in. And now we can focus on them individually. Individual origin extruded once to make sure the normals are all correct. What's going on here? Now they all extrude to the same direction. Scale this one down a little, and then duplicate it, and I have a little screw at the end there. Okay. Now we can take this whole shape. It's pretty large, so we can just leave it like this. Take this whole shape, and in front view, duplicate it once, bring it over here, one more time over here, and then we're gonna duplicate it to the other side using the 3D cursor. So merge them all together. -1 using the 3D cursor on the x-axis, like that. And now they're all part of the same shape. So now we can also shade this to smooth and then add some auto smooth there, like that. Okay, now I have a pretty nice level of detail at the bottom. Here's a few other things, but we're not going to spend time with that. Maybe we'll take the shape and we're also going to bring it so it covers this part over here. Even though I don't know how realistic that is, but we just want to hide that mess that we made over there. You know, since it's a low poly model, that's all we're going to do. Just hide the mess. That's the best way to model. As long as you can't see the mess, the model is good, even if it's messy. Now let's go ahead and get busy with the tracks and the wheels. All right, we have some pretty good level of detail. Maybe we're gonna add a couple more things at the back in the end. But let's make a first wheel, since it's just going to be one. First of all, let's make some placeholders. So we're going to add a wheel, 32 vertices, rotate by 90 degrees, like that. Place it right there. And then we're going to extrude that. We don't even have to extrude it yet. Okay, we're just going to use an array modifier. Maybe not, because they're all kind of a different distance apart. And duplicate this a whole bunch of times. We have every wheel. Duplicate it a couple of times and place it where all the other planes or all the other wheels should be. When we select them all, select this one last, Control L, and we're going to link object data. So now when we extrude one of them, we extrude all of them. Okay, so move that outwards a little bit. Extrude it like this. Move them all a little bit backwards. Do something like that. And now we're going to need a loop cut right there to make this gap between the two parts of the wheel. I'm going to extrude that inwards like that. And we're going to bevel this part. I think this is a little bit too wide there. But we are going to make it a little bit more narrow, and then we're going to slightly bevel this part like that. And the front, again, we're going to insert a face, extrude it inwards, and then inside here we have another shape like that, and we have these holes. Now, how are we going to do those? Let's extrude this. Let's insert a face there like that. And we have 6 holes, okay, but we have 32 vertices. That means if we maybe try to, we have to do the math correctly here. We have exactly 3 in between. We can't get them perfectly with this number of edges, but that doesn't matter. Let's just pretend that they're symmetrical, that there's an equal distance between all of them. Okay, over here we need to have 3 in between. And over here, what's going on over here? I think it's good enough. Maybe we can select one more for each. Okay, we insert a face, if we can do that. Or we're just gonna kind of we need to add another couple of loop cuts over there. And then we're just gonna kind of, okay, let's do the same thing again. These two, maybe we should just do 8 of them and just pretend like there's 8 holes when there's really 6, but it's gonna make more sense because it's gonna be a little bit more symmetrical. Okay, extrude those inwards like that, and then on individual origins we're gonna scale them down a little. And the reason we're scaling them down a little is so that we can kind of bevel this. We can kind of bevel this as a smoother inside like that. Now maybe we can also bevel this. Let's see how that's gonna look if we bevel this part. It's not gonna mess up our geometry too much, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that on all of them, because the wheels are one of the most important parts here. So we're gonna select all these edges around here. Okay, all of those. Maybe there's also an easier way to do this by selecting similar angles or something, but that would probably also select some other edges as well. So let's just do it manually this time. Add a couple of bevels, and it's pretty good. Shade that smooth, auto smooth, 45, something like that. And we also just want to take this circle in the middle and bevel that like that. And we're also just gonna add a couple of screws. Add a couple of little screws the same way we did before. Okay, it's just 6 vertices on a circle. Okay, 6 vertices on a circle, and scale it way down. Way down. Okay, maybe this one's gonna be a little bit bigger than the other ones. And then we're just gonna select that. And then using a 3D cursor, we're gonna rotate it around the x-axis by 180, then by 90, and then by 45 degrees. Now, yeah, there should be 6 screws and 6 holes, but this was a little bit easier and more convenient right now. So we're just gonna pretend like those 8 holes. Okay, but you can make 6. And now we have some wheels right there. Okay, we have some wheels. You can also put a screw in the middle, but let's skip that part. We need a sprocket. We need a sprocket. Now we're only gonna make 1, and we're gonna use the same in the back and the front. We're also gonna pretend those are the same just to save some time. We're gonna make a circle there with 24 vertices. Okay, let's move that upwards a little bit. So we're gonna work on this separately. 24 vertices. We're gonna take that like this. And then we're going to select this edge loop. We're gonna go to select, and we're gonna do checker deselect, so it only selects every other. Now we can scale these out, make the teeth, and then on individual origins we're gonna scale them down, make them pointy like that. Okay, so we're gonna extrude that one more time, and then we're gonna select this loop in the middle and kind of make it like this. Maybe we can also select all of these edges on the outside and extrude them up a little bit. Insert a face, and extrude that back down, just to add another little detail. It makes it look a little bit cooler. And in the middle, we just need to add, how are we gonna get this shape? We're going to add this. My computer's getting very laggy right now, but we're gonna add a cube right there. A cube. Or maybe we should just add a circle with say, a circle with, say, 8 vertices. 8 vertices. Okay, we're going to extrude that out a little bit, or not yet. 8 vertices, and we're going to select every other. And then we're going to extrude it and scale them up. Scale them up and away from the 3D cursor. But then we're also going to scale them down individually, so they kind of keep that straight. Keep that same thickness on every part. Add a loop cut to each of them. And we can kind of lift them up a little. Lift them up a little so they have a better shape like that. And then we're going to take that, extrude it down. And over here we can extrude another little shape there. You can add some more screws there if you want to, just to make it a little more detailed. And this is going to be good enough for a sprocket right now. Maybe we'll make it a little bit thicker. Okay, we'll select everything down here and we'll just pull it down, make it a little bit thicker. And we're going to place that sprocket over here. Place that sprocket right there. We have to make sure that our origin is correct. And in the middle, okay? So that way when we place our 3D cursor over here and we snap the sprocket there, it's gonna be in the right place. Okay, like that. Go to side view and put it right over there. And now we can also maybe scale this up a little more, like that. Something happened over here because I was messing around with the scaling a little bit. Look at that, it's a little bit disaligned. I'm not sure what exactly happened. I made a little mistake there, but that's how I would just correct it and pretend it never happened, right? And we're going to duplicate this and bring another one to the back here. Maybe they even are exactly the same on this tank. Usually these two are a little bit different, but here they look pretty much like the same thing. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and make a couple of tracks. Now again, I have a separate video for how to make very detailed tracks, but for now, we're just going to add a curve. Okay, we're going to add a curve. We're going to add a path. Okay, where's our path? It's right here. Rotate by 90 degrees and scale it down. We don't want individual origins, we want median point. I'm going to scale these two up. Now this curve is going to be rounded like this, so we're going to have to have a couple of vertices here so it doesn't round too much before that. And we're going to wrap it around this sprocket right here. Doesn't have to be exact, but the more tight you make it, the more round it is, the better it's going to look. And we're going to take it in the front over here. Let's see what happened over there. Take it in the front. Take it all the way over here. Shoot it a couple more times and bring it around here. Round over there. And there we have it, like that. That's going to be our curve. It's looking pretty good. Good enough, at least. And now we're going to use that curve to wrap some tracks around it. Okay, so let's place our 3D cursor over there. We're going to add a cube. Scale it down. Maybe we can do something to the cube to make it look a little bit more like a track. Let's have a look. We're not going to do all this stuff, but maybe we can just kind of let's get the right shape first, or the right width first. It has to be a little bit wider than the wheels, as always. And then we're going to scale it up here, and we're going to just lift it up. And so it's also below the track, right, like this. And then maybe on the sides, we can take these two edges and kind of make those the connecting pieces for the tracks, okay? So we're going to extrude those outwards a little bit more and maybe just give them a little bevel on the side so they kind of round, you know, like that. And also maybe we're just gonna add a couple of tiny squares over here just to make some kind of low poly ridges on these tracks. It's the kind of the equivalent, I think of it as the equivalent of tread on a tire on a car. I guess it just makes it a grip better. Okay, so now there's one track over there. Shade smooth, auto smooth, all that stuff, 45. And now we're gonna add an array modifier. But we're gonna add it on the y-axis with a little bit less than 1, with like 0.9 or something, so they connect right there, or maybe even 0.85. And then we're going to add our curve modifier, and we're going to apply that to our curve path. That way we just crank this number up a little, and then we just have to slightly adjust the length here, the distance, so 0.851 or 0.852, maybe even 0.853, and now they connect perfectly back around. So you can even kind of animate these because they'll move around, as you can see right there. And now, yeah, there's a little bit of clipping there, but that's not a problem. Now we're also going to duplicate these to the other side of the tank. Okay, so let's take all of this, including the curve, and with a 3D cursor in the middle of the tank, we're going to duplicate this and scale it to -1 on the x-axis. Let's just make sure that it's duplicated correctly. We're gonna just select everything in edit mode except the curve, because that won't let us go into edit mode. There's still something going on. We want to select all of these, and we're just gonna correct the normals on that, remove any doubles. Okay, so now you have tracks on both sides. We can add a couple of final details to this tank. Okay, like we're gonna add a little box to the back here. There's something going on in the back there, so let's do it. Maybe it's really important for our tank. Who the hell knows? I'm sure I don't know. Maybe I should do a little bit more research about tanks. Since I'm making them so much, I should probably understand what all this stuff does. But it doesn't really matter to me. I just make them the same way a taxi driver, he just drives a taxi. He doesn't got to know anything about the taxi itself. But a tank driver probably does have to know a little bit about the tank, because if they get hit, then he's gonna have to do some repairs, right? And then if he doesn't know how to do the repairs, that could be pretty troublesome. Now, okay, let's go ahead and move this down a little. I don't even want to spend any more time with this. Let's just parent it back to the turret. Okay, like that. And we're gonna add a couple of barrels to the back here. Cylinder with 24 vertices, rotated by 90 degrees, scale it down, pull it back here, right over here, make it about that size, and then we're going to pull it the side over here. Okay, like that. That's going to be one barrel, and then we're also going to add a couple more rings the same way we did with our gun. Okay, we're going to make a couple of rings. Just get this up a little, extrude it once, and we're going to duplicate that and bring it over to the other end of the barrel. Okay, maybe we can also bevel this a little bit. Something like that. Turn on our auto smooth and add some smooth shading right there. And then we can just duplicate this and make the other barrel too. Now we still got to connect these barrels somehow, so I'm just going to make some very simple shapes back here. Extrude this out a little. I don't even know what's going on back here. But we're going to make some shapes like that, and then maybe just a simple cube. Which we're going to make a little bit thinner. We're going to rotate it around like that, and extrude it over that way. And then we're going to extrude it down a little so it kind of takes the shape of the barrel like that. Maybe we can just bevel it a little more so it has a nice little hook down there or something like that. Then we can take the shape and move it over here. And move that over there. And then we're also going to duplicate that to the other side and join that. We're going to join these barrels together with the rest of the tank. Okay, like right there. And now look at that. We have a pretty much ready to go T-72 tank. We can add a couple more details at the front because this part looks kind of empty. Let's add a cylinder, 24 vertices. 24 vertices, scale them down. This is gonna be our light. Gonna be our headlight. We got some lag again. It always happens when I'm recording for a longer period of time. And we're gonna have our headlight over there, and we're also just gonna add a cube there to connect it. And this is going to be the end of that. Maybe I'll just push this shape up a little bit more like that. Join those together. Join it together with the turret. And we're gonna insert a face there, extrude it in a little. Okay, and let's also shade that to smooth. And of course, we're gonna need some auto smooth there too. And there we pretty much have our ready T-72 tank. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know what you want to see next, and do let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this video, any comments or anything you want me to talk about next. And I'll see you guys in the next one.